Hey everyone, Chrissy here with Footprint Tarot again. Okay, I know I did a check-in on Trump a couple of days ago, but now that the Mueller testimony is done, I watched a little bit of it, but he was still in the not really answering questions phases, and I saw a little bit on news about him saying yes, no to the pertinent questions we all wanted to hear. So I thought I'd have a look at the impact that his testimony, now that it's done, has had on Trump. I saw Trump, of course, coming out and saying that he didn't have the power to exonerate me. But of course, when the report first came out, Trump was saying, see, he exonerated me. And Mueller said quite clearly, no, he didn't. And if he wasn't the president, he would have indicted him. So I'm going to use my Victorian steampunk deck, and if I want some clarifiers, I'm going to use these little Kipper cards. Kipper is a German system, and it's quite it's very similar to Sibylla. Both Sibylla and Kipper have some similarities with Lenormand as well, but they're all separate systems. Anyway, let us get into it. I think I'll do a overview spread, or yeah, I'll do an overview. Okay, so what's on the bottom? I've made all these cards the right way up now. The Hermit. The effect of the Mueller trial on Donald Trump. He is going to start to feel isolated and alone, and he's not too happy about it. Let's see what else is underneath it. 9 of Dragonflies. Yeah, well, that's him, the greedy merchant, and it's not what he wished to happen. Trying to make the best of it, I suppose. Okay, so the situation for him at the moment is the Page of Beetles. The testimony has Page of Beetles, news about money, but the Page of Beetles, or the Page of Pentacles, is somebody realizing that they're not as smart as they thought they were. Not all they cracked themselves up to be, and I think that the testimony just reinforced that image of Trump, that he's not half as smart as he thinks he is, and that's just been reinforced by Mueller's testimony, and I think he's feeling that a bit. And he could also be waiting for some news on some money, perhaps. Okay, what's his current influences? The 2 of Beetles, 2 of Pentacles. He's currently trying to balance things. Of course, it's money again. He's not half as smart with money as he thinks he is, and he's not half as smart as covering things up about money that he thinks he is. Now he's trying to balance things. He's trying to take what Mueller said and trying to balance it so that it looks the way he wants it to look, so that he can gaslight some more. I think now that a lot of the things in the report, that the main points that have been reported have been confirmed out of Mueller's mouth, I think, yeah, he may be losing a bit of that support that he's relied on. Anyway, what's above him, what he does want to think about? 3 of Dragonflies, 3 of Cups. He wants to think about, he's still got a lot of support. 3 of Cups is, amongst other things, it's circles of support. So he wants to think that he's still got the support of his base, and he will always have the support of a certain amount of his base. Some people are blind to the obvious because they want to be, I think it is easier for some people to just continue to be blind to it than face up to the reality of the person that they've chosen to put their effort behind. And so he thinks he's he knows he's still got some circles of support, and that's what he wants to think about, the people who are still supporting him. What is the next step for Donald Trump? You know, it's money, money, money with these guys. It's the Queen of Pentacles. He's going to try and find some financial resources. He might see if Rebecca Mercer will help him out, and I don't think she will. From everything I've heard, that Mercers have backed right off from him, don't want to have anything to do with him. So he's going to look around and see what financial resources he can get. The Queen of Beetles, or the Queen of Pentacles, is a very resourceful person, who enjoys luxury and likes it, but you know, they'll work hard to get it, but yeah, they're a person of resources, or a person who can get resources, and that's going to be in his near future, trying to build up his resources. What's underneath him? What doesn't he want to think about? The Six of Dragonflies, the Six of Cups, people going back and looking back at things in his past. He doesn't want to think about that because he knows it's not going to stop. And I think that is the next step that's going to happen. And I think this could be the courts also saying, I think he knows that the courts are going to say, you hand over your tax returns. No ifs, buts or maybes. And he doesn't want that, and he doesn't want to think about what they might see in that. And I think Mueller's testimony will help with that. Will help with that decision as well. Will enforce that people, because of Mueller's testimony and because a lot of people would have been watching it, they will want to see everything in his past. Now, Trump's recent past, of course, the Page of Dragonflies, news. It's generally good news. So he received what he thought was good news, or what he perceived being as good news. So that's interesting. It generally, also a page with the cups is generally a young person, a young girl, woman. So if it's not good news, it's news about young women it's received. So I might do a clarifier on that in a little bit. What is the next step for Trump now that Mueller has testified? This is the completion of a cycle. Interesting. Could be, okay, he realises it's time he walked away. Cameo just sitting off to the side here, hang on. And maybe he might be starting to make preparations to walk away. Okay, I'm going to use the Kipper card to do some clarifiers on some of these. Okay, so the Page of Pentacles, what's that about? And I haven't used these often, so I will probably refer to the little book that comes with it. Rich, good gentleman. Okay, rich, good gentleman. Well, he preferred it to be a rich, good gentleman, but he wasn't really. This card represents a young man, a young lover, a son, a brother, a younger relative. Lucky charm. He feels that he's gotten away with things. He feels like he's gotten away with it. It's a lucky card. He feels he's been lucky. That's how he feels. But this tells the truth, I think, that he's not half as smart as he thinks he is. What's he trying to balance? Let's have a look. A change of address, normally. So he's trying to balance the changes that are happening with him, and the fact, and trying to come to grips, I think, with the fact that he might be changing addresses soon. Let's have a look at the Queen of Beetles. A false person. Yeah, I think this indicates that he's going to try and talk to Rebecca Mercer and get some support from her. But she's turned on him. She was his friend and now she's not. So she's turned into a false person. What's the Six of Dragonflies about? Receiving a gift. Okay. It's not a very Christmassy theme, this card. But receiving gifts. Emoluments, perhaps? This is a lucky card. You may expect pleasant things. Things are moving in your favour. Courtesies, praise and recognition it stands for. In addition, this card may announce visitors. Receiving a gift. Something about his past. I think it's actually, despite the generally overall good tones about the card, I think it's the eyes all over the paper, the wallpaper. That is oddly creepy. That is like, we're watching you, watching what you do. I think this is pertaining to people looking into his past, about where he got his money and looking into the emoluments thing at the moment. What's this news about the page of dragonflies? Success in love. Ick. I do think it might have something to do with Epstein. I think he's received some news about Epstein in the past. The next step. Little child. This can also indicate, I've seen this card before and read up on it, it can also it can indicate children, yes, but it's also interpreted as the start of a new journey. So with the world, the completion of one journey and the start of a new. Change of address. Trying to balance that. Trying to maybe sort it out in his head, maybe. Wanting one to see him as, to come across and put himself forward as a rich, good gentleman, but just not succeeding. Person he thought he could rely on is not going to help him. The Queen of Pentacles is not going to help him. She's turned against him. Success in love. He's recently received news about young girls and ick. People are looking back into his past and looking back how he received a lot of what he's got. I think this is just, as far as to the circles of support, as far as Mueller goes, good lady. Goes to an older woman who seems mature, female relatives. I think this looks at, can often represent older women, older people, and I think it's circles of support. Apparently a lot of his base are older people around his age, people who grew up believing he could do no wrong and clinging to that. That's a large part of his base that will never turn on him, and I think that represents where most of that support is going to come from. Do a couple more of the steampunk cards. Clarification on the Hermit. He's going to be feeling like he's carrying everything on his own. Clarification on the Page of Cups and the success in love. The Three of Moths. His chickens. I call this, especially with this deck, the chickens coming home to roost. When it's talking about an ugly situation that you may or may not have been involved in. His chickens are coming home to roost, and there's news about it. Current influences, apart from having to try and balance a change. Five of Bees, hollow victories. He feels like he's had some victories, but they're not really. They're very hollow and they don't really mean a lot in the end. And let's have a look at the next step. One more card for that. The Hanged Man. Completion of one journey, start of another. People seeing him in a different light, or being suspended, not being able to go anywhere. I wonder if he's going to be restricted in his movements. Could be jail, could be house arrest, could be hospital. Yeah. As far as Trump goes and what's going to happen to him as a result of the Mueller testimony, the Mueller testimony just confirmed a lot of stuff. And I think it was needed, because without it, people wouldn't believe what they were being told about the report, or just wouldn't take it. They needed to hear it from the man's mouth, and I think the Democrats realised that, which is why they insisted he come in. You know, there's nothing there they couldn't have concluded for themselves, but I think they realised that Americans needed to see it for themselves. And hear it for themselves from Mueller. I don't know that it specifically sped up the end of Trump, but even from a couple of days ago, this is a bit more of it seems to be another step down in his tumble from grace. If he was, well, he's tumbled from the pedestal he's put himself on, let's put it that way. And, so... Again, like I said in the reading a couple of days ago, it looks like we might be heading into the last stages of Trump's presidency. How long that will take, whether it's days, weeks, or even a couple of months, I don't know. I tend to hold this card, this next step card, as to within a couple of months, but we'll wait and see what happens. Okay, thank you again. Please remember to like and subscribe, like and share. And thank you again, and I'll see you at the next reading. Bye-bye.